Hey guys, it's Caldy back here again with another review. Today we are reviewing season 4 episode 1 of The Walking Dead. 30 Days Without Accident. It it is the season 4 premiere of The Walking Dead. As always, remember that there are spoilers in this video. So if you have not seen the episode or do not want to be spoiled, uh, please click away to one of my other videos or reviews. And anyway, let's get down to business. As we left off from last season, uh, the governor and his two remaining men are MIA, and all the remaining Woodbury citizens have came to the prison where with Rick and with Rick's group, and that's basically where we left off. Over the last 7-8 months since season 3, the prison community has built up, and there's many new people, and it's starting to become more like a community, less of like a prison survival area. There's peace and newfound peace, well, except for Walker killing, but that's a different story. There's many new characters. The new characters we have are uh, the first one we'll talk about is Zach, who is Beth's boyfriend. That'll come back to bite him. Um, Patrick, who's sort of like Carl's friend that he has, a companion for Carl. And something bad happens to him at the end of the episode, and I'll get on to that later. We have more. We have who else do we have? We have Bob Stuckey, who is a former army medic. He was all by himself. He was a loner, basically. Now he joined the group. So we have him. We're getting more character development for characters that were introduced last season, but um, such as Tyrese and Sasha, Karen, those characters. I don't know if Karen will survive long, though. Uh, we have new all a bunch of new characters. Those are basically the characters that we're introduced to that we don't know and we're talking to and everything. Plus we have the kids, but that's a different story. Um, and then farming has become integral part of the prison. It's what they live on. They also have a pig farm, like a little pig farm, like a stable for pigs, for meat, and everything like that. Uh, Next up, Rick and Carl's father-son relationship has really grown over the 7-8 months. They act more like father-son and less serious. There's like less seriousness. Carl is more relaxed, and Rick's more relaxed, and they're all relaxed. Well, basically, except when they're uh, in their private times. Okay. Um, but Carl has really built a sense of maturity as well. We see this in the scene where the younger kids are pointing at the walkers and giving them names or whatever, basically like making fun. But Carl steps up and says, asks them what they are doing, and says that they're not people. And there's that whole tidbit of everything. Um, so Carl's built a maturity level up, as as you would expect as he's getting older. Um, Next up, we have our relationships, that at least key ones that we're gonna focus on. Daryl and Carol, obviously, are it was hinted at. It's been hinted at since season 2, and they are now officially a couple. So there's that whole thing. I've heard people say that Beth may get in a love triangle, but I don't think so. Not now, at least. It may have seemed like that in season 3, but I don't know if it will now. Next up, we have Glenn and Maggie. Of course, they're married now. They are officially married. Well, yeah, they're officially married. And anyway, Maggie wants to have a baby, and they find out this episode that Maggie is not pregnant. Glenn is really worried about getting having a child in the apocalypse. Obviously, in the comics, Maggie is pregnant, and we don't know if she's had the baby yet, because Glenn died in issue 100. Spoiler for anyone that's read the comic series. Um, I probably shouldn't have said that if you haven't read the comic series. But uh, anyway, they wrote Glenn's worried about it because raising a child in the apocalypse, and he, after what happened at the big spot, which I'll get to those events later in the review, recap and review. Um, Basically, that, yeah, there's that whole thing. Tyrese and Karen have a bond. They're obviously, maybe Tyrese isn't gonna be like in the comics where he's with Michonne. Maybe maybe that's gonna be a weird mix where Tyrese gets with Michonne and then Karen kills or something. No, she's not gonna be suicide. No, it's not gonna work like that. But anyway, with Karen, she's probably gonna get killed off in the next five in the next episode once the prison breaks down and they have to leave, go on the road. Karen's probably gonna get killed off, and Tyrese. I have speculation that that's gonna be who Tyrese is gonna be looking at when he's like in the trailer. He like makes that face, and he sees like he's all like worried up, and he's all worried and shocked and everything like that, and he makes the weirdest face ever. Um, Rick and Michonne, I don't know if they're gonna get together, but it looks like that they have a common bond, and uh, it's just like that they are have a uh, good bond or whatever. Good I don't know, like weird relationship because she brought comics back to Carl. Of course, Carl is a big comics guy now. He's like a big comics guy. Um, so there's that whole thing. I've seen a lot of people uh, say talking about that relationship in comments on YouTube videos and on forums and stuff. But I don't see what's going on. Of course, we have a Walker fence build up. Like walkers are starting to build up at the fence, and it looks like they're gonna break through to next episode or the third episode, and people are gonna get killed, obviously. So there's that whole thing. They have people clearing out their new members. They have a Walker fence patrol or whatever, and yeah. Um, okay, now we're moving on to some other key points about this episode. While Rick is out, he has to take his gun because the committee says so, which is like Daryl, Herschel, Carol, I think, and Glenn. Well, I don't know if Glenn's on it. Tyrese and Sasha. It's like a whole. It's like a democracy with the going on with the community. So while Rick is out in the woods and looking for food and everything like that, he meets Clara, a weird person, looking for food. She hasn't taken a shower. She has like mold, like fungus growing on her. Not very obvious. Looks like a walker. Probably how she's survived so long. Um, the zombies don't recognize her as a human. Uh, but she's crazy, and anyway, Rick talks to her. Uh, Rick talks to her about stuff. She says that she couldn't have survived this long without Eddie, and they start talking about the things that people done. Rick's obviously wants to help her and bring her back to the community, but uh, she takes her back to her camp, and they come to a tent, and basically, he Rick Rick and anyway, Clara goes crazy and tries to stab Rick, but ends up committing suicide, and we find out that Eddie was a walker the whole time that he died, and he was feeding people, feeding stuff to Eddie, feeding animals, everything like that. Um, so she was crazy, but Rick basically has three questions that they ask people before they bring them into the city, and those three questions are: how many walkers have you killed? How many people have you killed, and why? And that's probably going to be one of the key points of this season. So we may get it with Abraham and Eugene and them people, but uh, Clara, she says, "How many walkers have you killed?" And it was like, all Eddie did all of it or something, and said, and then, how many people have you killed? And she said, just me, and because she committed suicide. And why? And she said, you can never come back. You can never come back from what you've done, or something like that, or you can never come back from what you've done, and that's a big point this season. So after the prison build-up, we're probably going to hear a lot about Rick going mental. Even though Rick's stable right now, I could see him definitely question just going on like being very philosophical later in the season. So as they're on the road, I think we may be going to Alexandria once we meet Abraham and Eugene, and we may be on our road to Alexandria. So, um, the next scene, while Rick is talking to Clara, like the crew that goes out and raids supplies, gets supplies for them. Uh, they go to the big spot, which is like a retail store, local store. It's not really like a Walmart necessarily. It's more like one of those local groceries that you can go to, and then they have like all sorts of supplies, and it's sort of like a Big Lots, but not exactly. Because yeah. Um, Anyway, while they're in there, the people on this crew are Daryl. He's really stepped into the leadership role. I forgot to mention that. He's really became into a leader's role in this season. Zach is along with them. Bob Stuckey wanting to make his keep or earn his way, trying to help out with the prison. The group, uh, so far. Michonne, Sasha, and Tyrese. Glenn is along, of course. Glenn. Uh, and then that's everyone on the crew. So um, they get in there. Bob Stuckey observes a half of a zombie or a walker down on the ground. He witnesses it's like a torso, cut off torso, and then as we zoom out on that shot, we see that there's a helicopter on top with a bunch of walkers, and that the ceiling is very damp. So we see that as they walk in, we see the ceiling is very damp. As we gather in supplies, um, Bob Stuckey, he makes a stop at the alcohol section, the wine and beer, and he picks up a bottle. Considering that, of course, we know he's a drunk. In the comics, he was a drunk, and that's one key element I think we're gonna have for the character, and he's gonna be a very uh, con- black and white character. Like he's gonna be that gray area. Um, there's some speculation that he is the one feeding the walkers outside the fence. That goes along with the walker fence buildup. There's speculation that he's the one doing it, so I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody else that comes right out of left field, but um, anyway, while he picks that up, he decides to put it back because, and then that the shelf drops out. Then the thing falls over and it gets on his leg or his foot. His foot's trapped. He's trapped under the thingy. He's still able to communicate. He's not injured badly, but basically, after that, after the thing falls, all the walkers hear that, and they start running towards the helicopter. The damp. They start running around on the ceiling, and walkers fall through the ceiling. Um, the first one has his guts are hanging. He's like, hanging around with his guts, and they continue to fall through. So the group in the store is not doing very well. Uh, so they're trying to hold him off, and Bob Stuckey is trying to survive, and basically, as he's surviving, they're owning everybody, and the best, this one with a split head comes out, and Daryl comes and saves him as they're holding off the walkers, and then he stomps. That the best walker kill in this episode is when Daryl stomps the head of the walker in the store to save Bob Stuckey. Anyway, we get Bob Stuckey out of there after we defeat that one, and everything like that. Um, and then something bad happens as we're recovering, getting ready to go out of the store. Um, Zach's Zach gets bit on the back of the leg, and then he gets taken down. He gets killed. Very sad. We didn't get to talk to him very much, and basically he's best boyfriend, and he gets severs the same fate as Jimmy did in season 2. So, Carl better stay away from her once he gets older. Well, I don't know. Beth is probably gonna commit suicide this season anyway. That's just funny. But anyway, there's that whole thing. Zach's dead, and the helicopter falls through the ceiling, and yeah, everyone gets out of there as Zach's dead and everyone's dead. So, um, after that, they come back. While this is going on, back at the uh, area where the rest of the survivors are staying, Carl and Patrick and all the kids, they go to story time. The kids go to story time. Carl sneaks in, and it's story time with knives. Uh, it, story time is just a cover, and they're teaching the kids about knives. Uh, Carol says not to tell Rick to Carl since Carl snuck in. He said because apparently Rick doesn't approve of it, so we have that whole situation. Um, and yeah, at the end of the episode, we have a lowdown time where Tyrese talks to Karen. Maggie and Glenn talk about how she's not pregnant. Um, and Daryl uh, has to tell Beth about Zach, how he died, how Zach had died, and she said surprisingly she doesn't have a reaction. Apparently she's been hardened by the zombie apocalypse and doesn't cry anymore. And the episode's title, 30 Days Without an Accident, refers to one of the workplace accident signs that Beth keeps. It was like 30 days without an accident or whatever. And then she flipped it to 0, and because of Zach. And while that's going on later in the night, Patrick is deathly sick. At the story time, he had to leave because he was going to throw up. And interesting fact, Patrick is played by Vincent Martella, who voices Phineas on Phineas and Ferb. But that's probably gonna, in a few years, that's gonna ruin people's childhoods. When the current generation of children gets up there, it's when that scene is gonna be played in places. It says, "My childhood is ruined." um, and he also played Greg on Everybody Hates Chris. I remember watching that show. They played like reruns on Nick at Night. So, Patrick died because he was deathly sick. He like got in the water. He took a shower, put water. He fell down, and while he was sick, he was like wheezing and sweating. And apparently he was coughing up blood or something like that, or blood was coming from his eyes. Well, anyway, what he had an airborne sickness. It was either swine. I'm predicting it's either swine flu or tuberculosis. Tuberculosis. Swine flu because of the pig connection. The pig Carl called Violet. Named Violet. Pa- uh, that the pig died, and then Patrick also died. So, and he died inside the prison, and at the end, his eyes light up, and he's a zombie. So, um, yeah, that's the whole thing. Um, anyway, I'm wondering what the sickness was. Definitely Patrick is goner, and several other people are goners. Because episode 2 is called Infected, and it was in like cell block D, I believe, or cell block. Yeah, it was cell block D, or yeah, it was D, cell block D. Um, but apparently he was very close to Beth, so I'm wondering about episode 2. Um, But anyway, I personally think it's swine flu or tuberculosis, and my episode 2 predictions are that uh, a lot of people are gonna die, and the fence is gonna come down. Uh, if any major characters, named characters, are gonna die, definitely Karen is gonna probably kick the bucket here in the next couple of episodes. I say Beth may commit suicide before they leave the prison, and Herschel's gonna go with her. He's gonna. I don't know. Herschel may survive. I think he's gonna survive longer to be the moral compass. Maybe he'll serve the purpose of Dale when they get to serve the purpose of Dale when they get to the right now, since Dale died, wasn't that good of a character in the TV series. Um, But episode 2 predictions, theories. I also think that a couple of people are going to get sick from the water, and that's why they're going to go to the power plant. I think it's airborne sickness. It's either like water supply. It's water, definitely water supply, or swine flu. Um, but anyway, my overall thoughts on this episode is it was a good premiere. 8 out of 10. Compared to other premieres, it was a good premiere. Definitely doesn't match up to one or two, season 1 or 2. One you can't compare it to since that was like the series premiere. But as far as pilots, or not pilots, but season premieres go, Um, season 3 was okay. Really, to be honest, uh, well, I think it was okay. It was okay. It brought us up to speed. Definitely season 2 is awesome. Season 2 is probably the best. Season 1 was the best, actually, but as far as overall season premieres, but it's an 8 out of 10. This season is probably going to be a good season, probably better than last season because last season was very meh, and it just didn't feel right. Like season 1 was awesome, season 2 was good, especially with the Shane arc. Yes, that got a little dramatic at times, but it was still good. And then um, this is just a good episode, great episode, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna definitely give it an 8 out of 10. It's not that bad. It's not. I'm not gonna say it's okay. It's good. It was a good episode. It, definitely 8 out of 10 because uh, several things brought it up to an 8 out of 10. But anyway, this has been my review for season 4, episode 1, 30 Days Without an Accident of The Walking Dead. I hope you enjoyed my review, my recap and review. And anyway, guys, I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.